Hey guys, today we are going to talk about dividing fractions. So I broke down each type of division problem and we're going to do each one a day so you don't get overwhelmed. So today I am going to show you models and pictures of how you divide fractions, but bear with me. I think the pictures are good in kind of showing you how division works. I do not need you to ever use the models on your test or to solve problems, but for today and tomorrow, I am going to have you do them just to practice. Okay, so pictures are good, even though most of you despise and dislike drawing pictures in math, but I promise they can be good sometimes. So, on Friday, you had some word problems to do. And I did get feedback that a lot of them were difficult. So instead of making one video going over all 6 of them, and that's just an extra video to watch today, I decided that I'm just going to go over one a day in the beginning of each lesson. And that way you get to see the answers and them worked out for you. Okay. So for today, we're going to do number 1. So number 1 was Sasha still has 4/5 of a scarf left to knit. If she finishes half of the remaining part of the scarf today, how much of the scarf will Sasha knit today? So I know that she's going to finish half of the remaining parts. Do we know how much is remaining? We do. It's 4/5 of the scarf is left to knit. So this key word that I've talked about before in class, the word of, I need to know what half of 4/5 is. Therefore, I'm going to be multiplying. So I want to multiply 1/2 times 4/5. And don't forget that you multiply straight across. So 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 5 is 10. So 4/5, technically it's correct, but not completely because you need to simplify. 4 and 10 have a common factor of 2, so I can divide by 2. And remember, you can use your calculator to simplify, so you should get 2/5. Okay, so she has 2/5 of the scarf left, or 2/5 was knitted today. Okay, so we'll do the rest of the problems as we work through the week. So for today, you do have a little warm-up. So your warm-up is, I would like you to do 10 divided by 2 and 10 times 1/2 and 6 divided by 3 and 6 times 1/3. I know some of them were super simple, but for the 10 times 1/2 and 6 times 1/3, I just want you practicing your multiplying fractions. Don't forget, every whole number always goes over 1. Okay? So do those 4 problems after you pause the video and then come back to see the answers. So hopefully you did these 4 problems and you're back and ready to check how you did. So I'm hoping that you know 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then 10 times 1/2. So we would put 10 over 1 and then just multiply across our numerator to do 10 times 1 is 10. 1 times 2 is 2. But 10 halves is actually equal to 5. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So you should see they're the same answer. So if I'm dividing by 2 and multiplying by 1/2, it's the same thing. That's interesting. So did you notice anything for dividing by 3 and multiplying by 1/3? You should have kind of noticed the same thing. 6 divided by 3 is 2. If I'm doing 6 times 1/3, you would multiply across. 6 times 1 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. So something cool about math is that multiplying and dividing can kind of be switched around and used interchangeably. So what that means is that if I am dividing by 2, there's this fancy word called reciprocal. Okay, so if you would use that on the PSSAs, I always say that if you use that in an explanation, you're going to knock the socks off of the people that are reading that response. So you want to find the reciprocal. Like say I'm doing 10 divided by 2. If I would find the reciprocal, or reciprocal is just a fancy word for flipping, if I would find the reciprocal of the second number, so if I find the reciprocal of 2, we know that the whole number 2 is always over 1. So if I would like to change this division problem to multiplication, I just need to flip the second number. So 2 over 1 changes to 1/2. Same thing for if I would be doing like 4 divided by 2/3. I could change this to a multiplication problem, which I'm going to show you later. I could change this into a multiplication problem by finding the reciprocal or flipping the second number. So 2/3 literally just gets flipped to 3/2. Okay, so that's a little preview of what I'm going to go over, but I just wanted you to see that dividing by 2 and multiplying by 1/2, or dividing by 3 and multiplying by 1/3, same thing, because 1/3 is the reciprocal to 3, or it flipped. Okay, so for today, if you have the packet, we are on page 14. If you do not have the packet, you have a lot to copy down. So I would suggest that every time I show a new problem, go and copy down like all of these words. We're going to talk about the number line model, Tate model, multiplication, and common denominator. So I'm going to show you 4 different ways to solve every problem. Will you have to do this every time in the future? No way, no way. But I want to show you all 4 of them because I never know how your brain is going to work. Okay, so if you don't have your packet, you're going to have to pause the video and copy all of this down. So, go. Okay, so if you have the packet, you are just going to write right on page 14 for me, just in these boxes, just like I am, okay? So the first example says that Charles has a board that is 3 feet long. Okay, so picture a long wooden board that's 3 feet. He needs to cut off pieces that are 3/4 foot long. So we're going to cut it into pieces that are 3/4 foot long. How many pieces will he be able to cut off? So like I said, I'm breaking down dividing fractions into multiple different parts. So at this point today, we're literally just going to focus on dividing a whole number by a fraction. Okay? And then tomorrow we'll do something different. So at this point, I know I have a 3 foot long board, so that's my total amount that I have, and I'm dividing it into groups that are 3/4 foot long. So that is a division problem, and I need to figure out how many 3/4 foot long pieces that I can get. So the first model that we're going to do together is the number line model, and it's very similar to its name. We're literally going to make a number line. So the first thing you want to do is the number line is going to represent like your total that you have. So we have a 3 foot long board. So we're going to put 3 holes on our number line. So number lines always start at 0, and we're going to end at 3 to represent 3 feet. And don't forget to put your 1 and your 2 on your number line. Okay, so there we have 3 holes to represent our 3 foot long board. Okay, so from there, now we're going to talk about what size pieces that we need. So we need to cut them into pieces that are 3/4 foot long. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our number line and our holes on our number line, and we're going to cut them into fourths because I need to be able to group 3/4 together. So we're literally going to take each hole and we're going to cut it into fourths. So right there, I took the hole and I cut it into 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. And I'm going to do that for each hole. So 4 equal parts for all of them. Okay? Okay, so now I'm working with fourths. Okay, so one of these, there's 4 pieces in a whole. That would be 1/4. So now I need to think about, I am cutting off pieces that are 3/4 of a foot long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and group 3/4 together and see how many groups I can make. So it would be 1, 2, 3/4. So I'm going to circle it. There's 1 piece I can make, okay? So then I'm going to count another 3/4. 1, 2, 3 of the fourths. So I'm going to circle that. That's 2 pieces that I can make. 1, 2, 3 is another 3/4. That gives me a 3rd piece I can cut off. And 1, 2, 3/4. Perfect. 4 pieces that I can cut off. So I can cut off 4 pieces or make 4 pieces. Okay, so I can make 4 pieces that are 3/4 of a foot long. Okay, so hopefully that made a little bit of sense and gave you like a good visual of how this division is working. And I have one more model for you because a lot of kids do not like number lines. So this one I actually prefer. It's called the tape model. How the tape model works is that we're going to draw a rectangle. Doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, after you have your rectangle, cut it in half. And that's what? Hot dog style? Yeah, cut it in half, hot dog style. Hot dogs are better than hamburgers anyway. That's my opinion. Sorry if you do not agree. So then after you have your rectangle cut hot dog style, we are going to model what we have. So we have a 3-foot board. So we're literally going to take this and cut it into 3 holes. So this would be 1 hole, 2 holes, 3 holes. So the top is going to represent our holes. And then at the bottom, we're going to cut each hole into the size pieces that we need. So once again, we're talking about fourths because we need groups of 3/4. So we're going to cut each hole into 4 equal parts. Okay, so there's 4 parts for that hole. 4 parts. And 4 parts. Okay. So then after that, just like we did with the number line, we're going to group 3/4 together because that's the size of groups that we need. So you just count your fourths and group them together with 3. So 1, 2, 3/4. There's 1 group that I can make. Then count another 3/4. Count another 3/4. And then another 3/4. Okay, so, and that just shows you that 3 holes can be broken down into 4 groups of 3/4. So that's another time we get 4 pieces. Okay, so those are the 2 models that I have for you. I'm going to have you practice it for 3 more problems. But just to show you like the math way that you may use in the future going forward, since we all like the easy way to do things, the multiplication is the way that I kind of showed you in the warm-up. So there's a fancy word again, so reciprocals. So reciprocals, like the fancy definition, is 2 numbers whose product are 1. So if I would have 3/4, if I would find the reciprocal by flipping it, remember reciprocal is a fancy word for flip, I would flip 3/4 to be 4/3, and you actually get 1 when you multiply them together. Therefore, they are reciprocals. All you really need to know is that a reciprocal is flipping a fraction. That is it. So when you are dividing, I always tell kids to remember the phrase keep, change, and then flip. Flip is the fancy word for, or is the easy word for the fancy word reciprocal. So how it works is we are dividing 3 divided by 3/4. So the keep is for the first number. We're going to keep 3. So you just write 3 down, but you always want to write it as a fraction. So 3 would just be 3/1. Don't forget every whole number goes over 1. Second thing is for your sign. Division changes. You're going to change division to multiplication. And then flip is for your second number. So you want to flip or find the reciprocal of 3/4, which is 4/3. Literally flipping it. Okay, so we kept the first number, changed the sign, flipped the second number. And now you just multiply like we did last week. So 3 times 4 is 12. 1 times 3 is 3. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. So once again, we got 4 pieces again. Okay, so you just keep, change, flip. That's the easiest way to do it. One more way I'm going to show you, which is kind of neat, is common denominators. Since you are used to finding common denominators for addition and subtraction, I always like to show kids this one. So if I am doing 3 divided by 3/4, you just have to find common denominator. So 3 is actually 3/1. And I know that 1 and 4 have a common multiple, or the least common multiple of 4. So I will just make 1 to be 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. So this is really 12/4 divided by 3/4. And then all you need to do is divide your numerators. So it's really 12 divided by 3, which is 4. Okay, so those are your 4 ways that you can divide when it comes to fractions, okay? I'll do one more example with you, and then I'm going to have you try 2 on your own. So if you don't have all this work down at this point, you can pause if you're not ready to move on. If you are ready to move on, we are going to talk about Connor. So Connor has 4 cups of flour to make cookies. If each batch of cookies required 1/4 cup of flour, how many batches of cookies will you be able to make? Or how many batches will Connor be able to make? So we are taking 4 cups of flour and dividing it into groups of 1/4 or 1/4. Okay, so for the number line model, we are going to put our total amount of whatever we have on the number line, which is 4 cups of flour. Start at 0, end at 4. 2 is in the middle, and then we have 1 and 3. Okay, so then now we're trying to figure out how many fourths. We're talking about fourths here. So we're going to cut each whole into fourths. And then we are going to count how many 1/4 there are in our 4 holes, because that's going to be how many batches that we can make. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So that means we can make 16 batches of cookies. Okay, and once again, these are just to give you a good visual of what is actually going on in division. I think it helps kids wrap their head around it, so you will not need to do these on the test. So tape model. Remember, we're going to draw the rectangle and cut it hot dog style. And then we're going to show how many holes we have, which is 4. and that goes on the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. And then we will cut our hole into how many pieces that we need. So we're talking about fourths. So we're going to cut it into fourths. And definitely doesn't need to be perfect. Mine is not, but it just has to give you an idea of what's going on. And then you can go and shade or count your fourths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 batches. Okay, and then just the straight math ones. So we are doing 4 divided by 1/4. So your little saying, keep, change, flip. We are going to keep the first number, which is 4, but we're going to make it a fraction, so 4 over 1. Change division to multiplication. Flip the second number. So 1/4, I'm going to flip, and it will be 4 over 1. So you're doing 4 over 1 times 4 over 1. Multiply across the numerator. 4 times 4 is 16. 1 times 1 is 1. 16 over 1, or 16 divided by 1, is 16 batches. And then common denominator. So we have 4 divided by 1/4. So 4 over 1 divided by 1 over 4. So we want to get common denominators, which would be 4. So 1 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16 over 1. Oh, 16 over 4. So 16/4 divided by 1/4. Divide the numerators to be 16 over 1, which is 16. I love when I get the same answer for all of them. Okay, so there's all 4 ways, again, for that second example. Okay, so for the keep, change, flip, which is what most kids are going to use, I want you to write all of your steps. Like, notice I write the division problem. I write the keep, change, flip next step. A lot of kids like to be lazy and they don't write that second step, and then they end up getting it wrong because they're doing it in their head wrong. So just take the 2 extra seconds and rewrite the problem. I promise it will help you in the long run. So for these 2 examples, I would like you to try all 4 ways on your own. So if you do not have a packet, I want you to pause on this and do it. And then I'll scroll and show you the next one. You're going to pause again and do that one. And then you're going to come back and do both, and then check your answers for both of them. If you have the packet, just do these 2 in your packet right now and then come back to see the answers. Okay? So if you don't have the packet, pause now. Okay, so hopefully you are back with the first one done. And then here is your second one to do. Okay, so pause and do all 4 ways for this problem. Okay, hopefully you're back with both of them done. So here is my work for Tyler's problem. He had 2 cups of milk to feed his cats. He gave 1/8 of a cup of milk to each cat. How many cats is he feeding? And I got 16 cats. Okay, so there's my work if you would like to pause and check that out to compare it with yours. And then here is for Marissa. Marissa has 6 pounds of candy to give to her friends at her birthday party. If she wants to give 2/3 pound of candy to each friend, how many friends can she invite? I got 9 friends. Okay, so you can take out 2/3 9 times from 6 holes. Okay, so once again, you may pause and check out my work and compare it to yours. Okay, so for practice today, you are doing page 16 and 17 in your packet. If you don't have the packet, I did post it on Google Classroom, so you can scroll to page 16 and 17 to get the problems. You are doing, for the first 4, you have to draw a model. either the number line or the tape model, whatever one you understand the best, okay? One model for each problem. For the next 4, you can use multiplication or common denominators. The multiplication is keep, change, flip. Don't forget to write every step. And then you have, actually it was the next 6, my bad. And then you have 3 word problems on the next page, on page 17, okay? So same kind of steps. Model for the first 4, multiplication or common denominators for the next 6. The word problems you can do however you want to do, okay? I'll be on Google Meet at 11:30. If you have any questions, you can email me or join my meet at 11:30. Other than that, have a wonderful day.